Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. So in this video I'd like to give you guys a quick update on my ginger plant here. So it's now the middle of January and the ginger plant has gone completely dormant. It's died back just to the tuber, so there's no above ground growth whatsoever. Now in the previous update I think I showed you it, and it was towards the end of the summer. It had quite a lot of leaves on it. It grew to about 2 or 3 foot tall. Now I didn't put on a lot more growth since that video, and I'll show you a quick clip now if I can find it and show you how big it was back then. So since then it didn't put on a lot more growth, but it just kind of sat there. It was building up its tuber, and in the last few weeks the growth suddenly started going yellow and it just died back. It wasn't a very gradual process to dying back. Once the first shoot went yellow, all the other ones followed within a month, and within 1 month the first shoot going yellow, they all went yellow and then just fell off. So it's in a dormant phase now. So I'm going to dig up the tuber. I'll see how much it's grown since last year, and then I'll probably replant it and get it going again for next year. So I've had a little scratch around on the surface and it's definitely grown a decent amount, but I won't know for sure until I take it out of this pot. So I'm just going to empty it out. There might still be a few roots still attached on it, but we'll soon find out. You can see in the bottom here, in fact, there's a few succulent roots, so there's certainly some roots still alive. You can already see that's the loose compost taken off. We can already start to see quite a good amount of the tuber. This is actually loose, this one, so I'll just pull this one off. It's still got a couple of succulent roots left on it. So I'm probably just going to take this whole thing out, put it in the bucket, and just kind of loosen up the compost and try and get all the compost to come off from the roots so we can have a good look at it. So as well as growing tubers, gingers also have quite big fleshy roots, and there's certainly quite a lot on this one. So that's the tuber now fully taken out, so we can have a good look at it. As you can see, there's quite a few large tuberous roots on it. These might snap off when I try and replant them, but I'll try and keep them if I can. There will still be quite a lot of energy and nutrients stored in these roots, so they will help it when it comes to regrowing. So looking at this, as I say, there was a small piece that snapped off, which was this one here, which I could use to create a new plant. Or if I wanted to, I could cut this into sections and also make a new plant. So the original tuber, I think, is this one here, and then it's kind of fanned out in this direction. So when I plant it in a pot this time, I need to put this right on the edge of the pot and this side of the tuber more towards the middle so that it has space to grow into. But what this is going to do is it's just going to continue growing in this habit, and if I wanted to, I could snap some bits off, use that for food, or I could snap some bits off and separate them and have several different plants instead of just one. But I don't have much space for more than one plant, and when you keep it as a larger tuber you tend to get larger shoots, larger growth, and I would like this to flower at some point. So I'm going to be keeping it as a single plant, but you can also see there's already a couple of slightly yellow shoots starting to appear on it. That's where it will put out the new growth next year. A lot of these have already started to show a few shoots. So because this has been dormant for about a month now, I should think this will start growing quite quickly once I pot it into the soil. The biggest problem with the gingers is to get them started into growth. It can take quite a long time. This one I planted quite late last year, I think it was about April time, but it wasn't really until about June that it really put on any growth. And once the growth started, it was quite quick, but to get ginger to start growing is quite a long, slow process. So it's the middle of January now. This has been without leaves for about a month, and it's been kind of going dormant or slowing its growth for the last couple of months. I'm now going to place it into the same size pot with some slightly fresher compost. I'm going to put it in a warm location, bring it back into growth, and then hopefully I can get this to start growing around about March, April time. That will give us a longer growing season. Also, it'll be growing at a better time of year, because last year it didn't really start growing until June. But the problem with it starting to grow in June is when we have the best sunlight. So April and May also have really good sunlight here in Scotland, but it missed those 2 months of good growth. So I really want to extend the season, have it grow bigger and better. So if I can get this to start growing a bit earlier this year, it should grow much bigger. So that's the tuber, as I say. It's looking quite good. These ones right at the edge here are certainly the biggest pieces. There's several fresh sections. You can tell it's fresh ginger because it's got this kind of yellowy skin to it, and the skin isn't all papery and dry. So that's the fresh stem ginger, and further back we've got some of the older stem ginger from last year. So the original piece was here. First year I think it grew roughly about this size, and then the last year it's grown all this and all that as well. So not a huge amount of growth, but I wouldn't expect too much growth here in Scotland. But I'm quite happy with how it's done this year. Next year I think it should do better, because hopefully I can get this to start growing earlier in the season. It's a long season plant. Ginger needs a good 9 months or so to have a nice long growing season. It is a subtropical plant. It needs a very long growing season with high temperatures, lots of sunshine to really get going and grow well. So this next year it should do better. So I'm going to plant this up now, put it somewhere nice and warm, possibly under grow lamps if I've got enough grow lamps. And then when this starts to grow, probably March, April time, the sun will be much better and it'll be in the conservatory, kept warm, and I'll give you guys an update in a few months time. So I think that's about it for this video, but I'll probably see you guys in May or June when this should be growing quite strongly and we'll get some nice fresh shoots on it again.